Hello everyone and welcome to another live on JTV. I'm actually really enjoying doing these lives, and the reason is because I get to speak directly to you, the viewers. So as I do this video and talk about some of the issues that I'm going to cover, please do comment on the video and I'll try to react to your comments, sending questions. And a reminder, of course, that we have a campaign going right now to accelerate our growth. Please do donate if you're able to. That would be tremendous. Now, let's talk about the videos that I want to discuss. So the first one is President Trump, President-elect Trump, I should say. Here he is talking about his conversation with Netanyahu. Have a watch.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to comment on the Putin question, but I will comment on Bibi. We had a very good talk. We discussed what is going to happen, and I'll be very available on January 20th, and we'll see. As you know, I gave warning that if these hostages aren't back home by that date, all hell's going to break out, and very strong. But we generally just discussed, I asked him, where are things? Mike Waltz they're doing a great job, by the way. Everybody is very happy. I think he's doing a fantastic job. But he was very much involved in the call. But it was a recap call more than anything else.
So they're talking about a call that they've had recently. And Trump has said he's issued a warning to Hamas and said if you don't return all the hostages by the time he comes to office, they're going to have hell to pay. Now, what he means by that could mean a bunch of things. And I know that Trump and his team will be strategic enough to know that they should hit Hamas where it's going to hurt them, perhaps in ways that one might not. Prime Minister Netanyahu's recent statement, where he too has spoken about his call with President Trump and the implications, and also about where Israel is generally right now with its war, not just against Hamas and Hezbollah, but also what they did to degrade Syria's weapons depots, which of course is really important, given that this was a potential threat if the rebels are jihadists and they're Islamists, and they could potentially have gone after Israel, especially also that Israel needs to be able to find ways of flying into Iranian territory and Syria, and their surface-to-air missile defense systems were, of course, a potential threat to that. But have a watch of Prime Minister Netanyahu's statement where he too reflects on the call with President Trump.
לפני שנה אמרתי דבר פשוט. אמרתי, אנחנו נשנה את המזרח התיכון. ואנחנו אכן משנים אותו. סוריה היא לא אותה סוריה, לבנון היא לא אותה לבנון, עזה היא לא אותה עזה, וראש הציר איראן, גם היא לא אותה איראן. גם היא הרגישה את נחת זרוענו. אנחנו פועלים בעוצמה ובשיקול דעת, כדי להביא ביטחון מול כל מדינות האזור, וכדי להביא יציבות וביטחון מול כל גבולותינו. זה לא אומר שאין עוד אתגרים לפנינו. יש גם יש. גם מול איראן, גם מול שלוחי המדממים, וגם מול האיומים הפוטנציאליים האחרים, כי המציאות היא דינמית, היא משתנה במהירות. ולכן אני רוצה להגיד משהו לגבי סוריה. אין לנו עניין להתעמת עם סוריה. אנחנו נקבע את מדיניות ישראל כלפי סוריה לפי המציאות המתהווה בשטח. אני מזכיר שבמשך עשרות שנים סוריה הייתה מדינת אויב אקטיבית לישראל. היא תקפה אותנו שוב ושוב, היא אפשרה לאחרים לתקוף אותנו משטחה, היא אפשרה לאיראן לחמש את חיזבאללה דרך שטחה. כדי להבטיח שמה שהיה לא יהיה יותר, אנחנו נקטנו בשורה של פעולות עצימות בימים האחרונים. יחד עם שר הביטחון קץ, אני הנחיתי את צה"ל לסכל את האיומים הפוטנציאליים מסוריה ולמנוע השתלטות של גורמי טרור סמוך לגבולנו. בתוך כמה ימים השמדנו יכולות שמשטר אסד בנה במשך עשרות שנים. ועשינו זאת כדי לוודא שנשק מסוכן לא יופנה נגדנו שנית מאדמת סוריה. אנחנו גם פגענו בנתיבי הספקת הנשק מסוריה לחיזבאללה. זה יכולות שאיראן מעבירה לחיזבאללה דרך סוריה. מזכ"ל חיזבאללה, נעים קאסם, אמר את זה אתמול בפה מלא. ציטוט: חיזבאללה איבד את נתיב האספקה הצבאי דרך סוריה. והדברים האלה הם כמובן עדות נוספת לפגיעה הקשה שהסבנו לציר האיראני כולו. אבל עם זאת אני מבקש גם להעביר וגם להזהיר. אנחנו מחויבים למנוע גם התחמשות מחודשת של חיזבאללה, וזה מבחן מתמשך עבור ישראל. עלינו לעמוד בו, ואנחנו נעמוד בו. אני אומר לחיזבאללה ולאיראן בצורה שאינה משתמעת לשני פנים: כדי למנוע מכם לפגוע בנו, אנחנו נמשיך לפעול נגדכם ככל שנדרש, בכל זירה ובכל זמן. על כל זה שוחחתי אמש שוב עם ידידי נשיא ארצות הברית הנבחר דונלד טראמפ. זו הייתה שיחה מאוד ידידותית, מאוד חמה ומאוד חשובה. דיברנו על הצורך להשלים את ניצחון ישראל, ודיברנו ארוכות גם על המאמצים שאנחנו עושים לשחרור חטופינו. אנחנו ממשיכים כל הזמן לפעול ללא לאות להשבתם הביתה של חטופינו, החיים והחללים כאחד. ואני מוסיף מה שאני חוזר ואומר: ככל שנדבר על כך פחות, כך ייטב, וכך בעזרת השם גם נצליח.
I really appreciate that Netanyahu is saying, I've noticed him saying more and more often, Be'ezrat Hashem, with God's help. It's great to hear Israel's leaders invoke God's name. I think that's particularly important to winning this battle, by the way, in a God-centric region. But there's a few things that Netanyahu said that I think is worth picking up on. First of all, the initiative that Israel's shown in the last year has just been unbelievable. From getting Ismail Haniyeh, the head of Hamas, in Tehran, the Pages attack, which allowed them to get rid of so many Hezbollah operatives without avoiding non-combatant casualties, which everyone thought was going to be a major collateral damage of war against Hezbollah. And now what they've done to get rid of all these weapons depots and chemical weapons and missiles that could potentially attack Israeli aircraft inside of Syria at a time where their country is in flux and the rebels are going to take over and they could potentially be hostile to Israel. The initiative they've shown has just been absolutely remarkable, and it's a testament to Israel's determination, ingenuity, and bravery. And the other thing that we picked up on, that we saw President-elect Trump saying, is he said, yes, I want the war to be over. I want them to be over. And that was, I think, part of how he managed to pick up some support in the Arab Muslim community in America. But he makes one critical point, which means that I have to completely agree with him. He says, I want the war to be over, but not through a ceasefire. He says, with a decisive victory. We have to have a decisive victory. That is the best way to achieve long-lasting peace, to end a war. The way you fight a war, Judaism teaches, is to be quick, decisive, and comprehensive, and then win clearly. That's the most humane way. To go slowly and to have all kinds of question marks around who's won and ceasefires and let things go is not good for both sides. For both sides, both non-combatants on either side of the conflict, for them to only know war, to grow up, to have even a month, a year of warfare, it can really, really do all kinds of terrible damage. The best wars, or the right wars, there's no good war. Good war is no war. But if you have to fight a war, it should be fought quickly. Now, before I get to another thing that I want to reflect on in regard to the whole situation in Syria, I really want to keep stressing to our viewers that we're doing a campaign right now on JTV. The campaign is live and it's only going on for just a couple more days, and we need all the help we can get. What's the campaign for? To accelerate our growth, to invest in new content, to do other content, documentaries, have more presenters, which means that we'll be able to compete even more with the anti-Israel, anti-Semitic online equivalents. There's such a need for what we're doing online. There's so much misinformation out there. I never thought JTV would be having the impact it's having today. We're reaching millions of views basically every week. And it's been a remarkable thing. And I think the reason for that is because there aren't that many media outlets that are actually telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And so I think there's a real desire for this, and people are appreciating what we're doing, and that's why we're racking up the views. But now we want to expand even further, and I think we have a duty to take things to the next level. So amazingly, when people do these campaigns, there's lots of great Jewish organizations that will do these campaigns, and they'll get people to take, as you can see over here, let me just get it up, you can see people have teams, like team pages. Now, usually what team pages mean is you have someone that's, trying to raise funds for the campaign, and they'll have their own page, and they can try and solicit donations themselves, reach out to their own contacts. And what's amazing is that I've had over 100 people, the vast majority of whom are strangers who I don't know, who simply watch JTV and watch what we're doing and appreciate it and signed up to take pages. And I just think it's incredible. And they offered to do it without me offering them any kind of compensation or anything. They simply just believe in the cause. And I've been speaking to all of them over the last few weeks and days now we're in the campaign. So if they can show that kind of initiative where they're prepared to get their page, reach out to all their contacts, at the very least, if you're watching JTV, if you're appreciating what we're doing, and if you want to partner with us in taking things to the next level, please click on that link in the video description of this video where you can donate to the cause. It would be greatly, greatly appreciated by me and enable us to do far, far more. Now, I want to read to you a quote from a colleague of mine who was talking about what's happening at the moment, because we're discovering all kinds of terrible atrocities that occurred under the Assad regime. And the question that I want to ask, I think any sane person should be asking, is why is the Free Palestine Brigade, all the people that care, the Ceasefire Now Brigade, all the people that claim to care about human rights and all the rest of it, where are they? Why aren't they saying anything? Why are they completely silent? I want to read to you the words of my friend Ben Goldsmith. And he said, "Notice how none of your Free Palestine friends have a word to say on Syria. This is another hugely revealing moment. While emaciated prisoners and heaps of corpses are being extricated in real time from Assad's concentration camps in Damascus, there's hardly a peep from the watermelon crowd. Who knows what will happen next in Syria? For now, though, all eyes are on the sudden end of a 40-year brutal dictatorship in Syria, during which time hundreds of thousands or millions of Arabs have been tortured and killed. But your free Palestine friends are not actually interested in human suffering. They don't care about dead Arabs, or about Iranian women beaten, jailed and killed for not covering their hair. In fact, they have a soft spot for the Axis, led and funded by Iran's mullahs, because they share with them an obsessional hatred for Israel, and especially for the Jews. Did you really think that the haranguing of Jews and the hurling of red paint outside synagogues, Jewish community centres and kosher restaurants across Western cities was about the suffering of Arabs? By propagating the fantasy that Israel can be wiped from the map once and for all, the Free Palestine movement has helped to perpetuate a dead-end conflict that has brought decades of misery to actual Palestinians. But it's not just the Jews they hate. So too do they hate the West itself and everything it stands for. This is a movement riddled in insecurity and self-hate. And by the way, I would also add, riddled with lies. And of course, there are lots of tag-alongs who don't have a clue about any of this, who are lost and looking to fill a void, who just want to slip on a keffir and be part of the cool gang. But the real activists and influencers of this movement from the extreme left and the far right, which are by and large one and the same thing, represent a kind of fifth column in our societies, who are about as far from progressive as it's possible to be. And in their blind fury right now, as the Axis collapses before their eyes, masks are slipping all over the place. Ben is absolutely right. I often wondered why was it that, if you recall, when Iran fired all those missiles at Israel in April 2024, just a few months ago, and we had the Ceasefire Now Brigade, who were saying ceasefire now to Israel when Israel was fighting in Gaza. And but then when Iran sent their missiles, they celebrated. But I don't understand. I thought you wanted a ceasefire. I thought you believed in peace. I thought you believed in non-violence. But now you're celebrating this. It's not really what you believe in. What you believe in is undermining Israel. And Ben mentions another point in that tweet, which I think is really important. I want to just get the exact words up. He said, of course, there are lots of tag-alongs who don't have a clue about any of this, who are lost and looking to fill a void, or who just want to slip on a keffiyeh and be part of the cool gang. He's right. I think there's a lot of people who simply are looking for meaning. They're looking for a cause in life. And so they tag along to the easiest thing. You know, there's a pile-on in Israel. Okay, so we'll pile on as well. But that also means that it's not going to be enough. It does not suffice for us to simply say, here's why they're wrong, here's why it's full of lies. What's going on at a deeper level is the world, people, these activists are actually crying out for meaning. And so it's not enough for the Jewish people to simply say why the anti-Israel brigade are wrong. We also have to be providing them with real meaning. Because that's really the root of this. People need a sense of meaning. We have to tell them the actual meaning of life. So if we can do that, that really will deal with the root of this. The Jewish people, as well as showing uncompromising strength and rebutting the lies, have to also present the world with what we were here to do, which is to bring the world a sense of its purpose. And what is its purpose? That we're all placed here on earth to serve God in our own unique ways to make this world a better place, a holier place, a more godly place. And the way he guided us to do that was through the Torah, through his commandments. And beyond that, about using our skills to improve the conditions of this world. And if people believed in that and understood that, and the way they sought to improve the world was based on Torah principles, then I think it really would be a transformed world. And that's why I think it's essential that alongside fighting all these lies, we need to inspire the world with positive Jewish identity, with Jewish wisdom, with understanding. And that's exactly what we're trying to do at JTV. To learn a bit more about what we're doing and what we're all about and why we're doing this campaign, have a watch of this video and then I'll take your questions. The world is full of lies.
That Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu bear criminal responsibility.
The truth is under attack.
Which river, which sea? So you don't know the answer.
From the media to the UN to celebrities, lies reign supreme. But the thing about the truth is that no matter how dark a room of lies, if you light one candle of truth, it can light up the whole room. That's why I created JTV, the global Jewish YouTube channel. We have been lighting the flame of truth on social media. We believe that the key to defeating anti-Semitism isn't just in fighting the hate, but it's about creating pro-Semitism and sharing the truth. There's nothing inevitable about anti-Semitism. We just need to tell our story with confidence, pride, and love. We believe that telling the truth, exposing the lies, and sharing the wisdom and beauty found within the Jewish story and the ideas of Judaism can transform the world. We're reaching millions of people all around the world from all backgrounds and perspectives. Every day we are transforming people's views about Israel, Jews, and Judaism. How do we know? Because they tell us. But there's so much more we can do. It's time for us to build a team to accelerate our growth and produce way more content that can appeal to even more people. We want to hire more presenters, start doing documentary series, and way more. And if we do that, JTV will start competing with the other big media players who peddle anti-Israel narratives. And that's where you come in. I'm asking you to please partner with us on our journey to spread the truth to the entire world by donating whatever you can to this fundraiser. Together, we will harness the power of social media to shine the light of truth to the whole world. Thank you so much for your support. So that's our campaign video. What do you think of it? I've created it maybe about a month ago, and to me it really defines what it is we're trying to do. There's so much nonsense out there, and let me know your thoughts. What do you think of the video? Do you have any questions or comments on anything I've said on this video, about the news, about anything that I've said in recent videos? Now's your chance. It's a live stream, and I'm very happy to take your questions while we keep this live going. But I do have to say that, and by the way, you can post your comments in the, there should be like a live chat that you can see. But I have to say that I've really noticed that there's this year, as long as alongside it being a war that Israel's had to fight, we've also seen simultaneously at the same time, and I think this is by no coincidence, the collapse of moral leadership of all the great institutions in the world that we would expect to get moral clarity from universities and colleges to NGOs to institutions of justice and political institutions and celebrity culture. Not that I'd expect to get moral clarity from celebrity culture, but they are treated as idols, certainly in the Western world. And sports culture is seeing everywhere total collapse in moral clarity and understanding. And that's why, in some ways, it's been a double whammy for the Jewish people in terms of what they need to do. It's not just about fighting a physical war, but it's also about a spiritual war, that they have to lead a spiritual revival, a moral revival. The Jewish people, as I said in our last video, last live yesterday, have made such an impact on the world's moral values, and clearly we have more work to do. But I'm gonna wrap up the live stream now, and I greatly appreciate every one of you for watching, for supporting the work we do. I'll have a quick look at a few of your comments before I wrap up. Nikki Hari says, I found your channel recently, a subscriber from Iran, wishing for a day that you will announce freedom of Iran from the Mullah regime from your channel. Amen. I look forward to that. I look forward to that day very much. And that's terrific to see that we've got a viewer in Iran, Nikki Hari. Maybe you're in Tehran, I don't know. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate your words of encouragement. And it's great to see this as well, to see that, sometimes, unfortunately, people smear, when they don't talk about the Israeli government, they say Israel and the Jews. But we as Jews and people of sanity and moral conscience should be very clear in making distinctions between governments and the people. And we know that the government of Iran certainly does not necessarily represent the people of Iran. Look, what we've just seen in Syria, that shows that clearly as well, doesn't it? Certainly also when you're dealing with non-democracies, where they clearly, obviously the regime doesn't necessarily represent the majority of people. Petri Berry says, have you listened to Adam Sandler's Hanukkah song yet this year? As a non-Jew, I recently discovered he had some funny music. I have actually listened to that a few years ago. I might need to refresh my memory on the exact words. But yeah, I have listened to that. I remember it being quite funny. We have another comment from Zeng, who calls himself a religion destroyer. But he said, I like the Jewish people because they never foisted their religion on other people. Well, yes, that really is the case, actually. The Jewish people never believed that the rest of the world has to become Jewish. To me, I always found that quite a compelling reason for why I should be intrigued by what Judaism has to say, because I sometimes feel that people who are desperate to shove something down people's throats and seek converts, sometimes it can represent an insecurity on their own part and projection. But the Jewish people, let's be clear, we do want to transform the world and transform the world's values, but not by everyone becoming Jewish. By setting an example of morality and by encouraging non-Jews to do their job, which we believe they have a certain role in this world as well. We believe there are commandments that God gave non-Jewish people in the Torah, and there's also particular commandments for the Jewish people as well, additional ones. Even within the Jewish people, we have a holy among holies, the Kohanim, the high priests, who have additional rules and commandments, which the rest of the Jewish people don't. So we just believe that just because you might not have a particular identity or role doesn't mean you don't have a critical role. We all have critical roles in this world. Otherwise, God wouldn't have created us. We're all essential in God's plan. And God absolutely needs non-Jewish people as well to play a role in perfecting this world. So, yeah, the Jewish people are really just meant to be a vessel for God's vision, his light, his presence in this world. But by no means for the Jewish people were they meant to become the entirety of the world. Really there just to be the teachers in the moral classroom. Lisa Bradman says, I assume you're familiar with Robert Spencer. What is your opinion of his work? Is Robert Spencer the one that talks about Islam? I think I have read some of his content. Not a great deal of it, but I have read some of it. Nikki, you also said again from Iran, that regime, and believe it or not, we're happy when Bibi won the election. Nikki, I've actually wondered, by the way, I wonder if you could answer this, but it seems to me there's all kinds of debates over what percentage of Iranians actually support the regime, because some people tell me, actually, you know what, there is a majority support. It's not a big majority, but there's a majority support for the Ayatollah. And others tell me, no, it's a minority support for the Ayatollah and the Iranian regime inside of Iran. I wondered if you'd give me some clarity on that. So Yitzi says, don't learn Maimonides' laws of kings and their wars, where it's an obligation to teach the Noahide laws to the world. It's absolutely an obligation that we have to teach the world. We're not seeking converts, but we're teaching the world to become godly and to observe the commandments in the Torah that they're given. Sister A says, Ollie, what is your opinion on Jews, people who identify as anti-Zionist, i.e. Bernie Sanders, Jon Stewart, Norman Finkelstein? Well, important question. There's a variety of things to say about this. The first thing to say is that it's lamentable. It's really lamentable. And it's certainly in those three people's cases, it's probably a little bit of a case of what happens when you have assimilation, deep assimilation, and therefore people just try and fit into the surrounding cultures that they're in, and they lose their attachment and connection and loyalty to their people, the Jewish people. I think that's one part of it. Another part of it, some people have suggested, is it could even be a trauma response. Let's say in the case of Finkelstein, who I believe is descendant of Holocaust survivors, and the trauma response being, look, I can't bear it for the world to hate us again. There's no way that, we can tolerate that. I just want to be loved and accepted. So if they're coming after the Jews again, this time the one and only Jewish state, well, maybe if I jump on the bandwagon too, then I can protect myself. So it's like an abused spouse justifying the actions of their abuser. It's a very common thing. It's like Stockholm syndrome, basically. That's one explanation that people have given. The other one that people talk about is they say, what about religious anti-Zionist Jews? Now, one should know that even in the ultra-Orthodox circles, the majority of ultra-Orthodox Jews are supportive of Israel and the state of Israel. But for those who aren't, there's a very small minority that hold the opinion that it's not appropriate for the Jewish people to re-establish sovereignty in the land of Israel after, and before the Moshiach, before the Messianic era. What do they base that on? They say because the Talmud says that the Jewish people swore an oath that they wouldn't conquer the land by force. They would only do it with the nation's permission. Now, the obvious rebuttal to that is that the nations did give permission. The United Nations voted to approve, not without the Jewish people conquering the land militarily by force. The global community, the UN, voted in 1947 to approve the Jewish people re-establishing a state of Israel. And so I think it's null and void. But what's really interesting, and this really proves the point for me, that anti-Zionism is a form of anti-Semitism, is that they're saying the Jewish people are still in a form of exile and they can't end the exile until the Messiah comes. What they're saying is, yes, the Jewish people should be oppressed. They should have they should not have equality with the rest of the world in terms of having their own state and self-determination. They can only get restored to that level once the Messiah comes, which means they believe that that there's a divine mandate for the Jewish people to be downtrodden and oppressed before the Mashiach comes, before the Messiah comes, which confirms actually this notion that being anti-Zionist is anti-Semitism. They just think we have to support that. So it's quite ironic. But I think that it's just a ridiculous notion to say that the Jewish people living in the land of Israel and having sovereignty there is totally separate from Judaism. Just open the Bible, read the Torah. It's the story of the Jewish people making their way to the promised land. That's what it's primarily a story about. You want to tell me that's nothing to do? I mean, Abraham, when God talks to him over and over again, he makes promises about his descendants, the Jewish people. He hardly mentions, I don't think God mentions at all the fact that he's going to give them all these laws and commandments and ethics. But what he talks about over and over again is the land. The land is so central. It's so central. So yeah, I think that's important. Now I'm excited to see that Nikki has responded to my question. So Nikki says, you can guess the popularity by the votes for the far-right party in elections. Although the election is controlled, we can say among 90 million population of Iran, they have 10 million real supporters. Wow. So there you go. So you're saying about 1 in 9 support it. Well, if that's the case, that 1 in 9 Iranians actually support the regime, then I think that's very heartening. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for saying don't forget to like the video. I really, really appreciate that. And what would be even better, what would be even more amazing, is if you can donate to our campaign. It would be the link is in the video description. This is our campaign page. Where what are we up to now? 36% of the way there towards our goal. Please, we only got a few days left. Please donate and share the link with your friends and family. The video's also there, the campaign video. If you just click on that play button over here, you'll be able to watch the video. It will just really, really help us to grow and expand. And you'll partner with us. You'll become a partner with us in helping us share the truth to a world that desperately, desperately needs it. Yitzi said, you had this conversation with the rabbi who explained the misquotes from the Talmud. I forgot his name. Yes, that was Rabbi Daniel Rowe. Great discussion. I did it, and it was about a discussion with Dan Bilzerian. Highly recommend that you check that video out. It was great. And Rochester, no, it was not Rabbi Manis Friedman. It was Rabbi Daniel Rowe. So if you just type in Dan Bilzerian, who's the anti-Semitic guy, JTV into YouTube, you'll find it, and we unpack those misconstrued Talmudic quotes. Sister A, you said, I guess anti-Zionist Jews have Stockholm syndrome. If Israel doesn't exist, then anti-Semitism will cease to exist. Exactly. It's ridiculous. It's some people don't like saying it's a trauma response because they say that's far too generous and you're just trying to explain away people who are just being moral cowards. I'm not so sure. But I'll tell you what I'm sure about. The anti-Israel lot, the anti-Israel bunch, when they see Jewish people going against their people, I can assure you, despite what the Jewish people may think, these anti-Zionist Jews thinking, oh yeah, I'll be liked by the anti-Semites, I don't think they respect them at all. You're prepared to go against your own people and betray them? Why should I even trust you? I think that's probably what's going through their mind. So it doesn't even work. Would you trust someone that betrays their whole people? Not so sure. Not so sure. So anyway, this is going to be, I think, the end of the live stream for today. But I really enjoy doing these live streams. I think it's a great way of us connecting as a community and engaging. And please do also feel free to suggest ideas for topics and comments. But as I say, the most important thing you can do right now is to support our campaign. We've made great progress. I can't believe we've had all this support, but we need to get to our goal in order to fully actualize our vision for growth. So please do not only click on that link in the video description, but also share the link with your family and friends if you believe in what we're doing. Because together, if we all chip in, we can have a really, really big impact. We get so many views on JTV. If every viewer just chipped in a small amount, we'd be well over our target straight away. Anyway, thanks so much, everyone, and I'll see you next time.